This tank is an absolute embarrassment. Have a look at that grime on the glass and those limescale lines across the waterline. Not exactly the look I was going for. Now, you might think that to get a tank looking good again, you need to strip the whole tank, empty out the water, and dig up all the sand. But it's much simpler than that. I'll also leave the inhabitants in the tank too, so just make sure you're careful if they're coming over to say hi. Right, let's get stuck in. You'll need a gravel vac, in my case for sand, a big bucket, water dechlorinator, a few paper towels, and glass cleaner. But that's just for the outside of the tank. Start by giving the outside glass a good clean so you can actually see what you're doing once we're working on the inside. Next, grab the gravel vac and start going over the sand to lift out all the visible bits. If you've got any big rocks or hides, move them to a bucket or a cleaner patch of the tank that you've already cleared. That way, you can see where all the mess is for the deep clean. Now you can get to all that gunk that's been hiding under the decor. Isn't it always worse than you thought? Give that area a good vacuum too. Then, it's time to clean the inside of the glass. Grab your paper towels and start wiping. As soon as one gets dirty, swap it out for a clean one and keep going. I can't get on with glass scrapers and am always worried about scratching the glass on my tank. Paper towels do the job just as well if you don't mind getting your arm wet. If any plants have come loose from the substrate, now's a great time to replant them. Moving things around and clearing the glass usually stirs up more debris, so go back in with the gravel vac for another round. A really big bucket helps here. It saves trips and makes things quicker. I managed to fill my 6-gallon bucket twice throughout this process. The tank is 75 gallons, which is about 450 liters, so bigger than average tank. Once the floor of the tank looks clear, you can rake the sand gently with the glass scraper. Yes, I found a use for my glass scrapers. This brings the nice white sand back to the surface and makes everything look fresh again. The part that takes me the longest is putting all the decorations back. I like to move them around a bit during each big clean to keep things interesting for the axolotls. They do seem to enjoy a bit of a change. I'll probably rearrange the tank again before I'm finished. I ended up taking a few rocks out of the tank because it felt cluttered. I'm not going to go into detail about cleaning the filter because that's a whole video on its own, but essentially, it's just a matter of squeezing the sponges out in tank water and wiping down the plastic parts so they'll look clean and fresh, especially if you've got one with clear plastic. One more quick vac of the sand is required because somehow there's always more mess hiding. Then we're ready to fill the tank back up again. This part is fun because the water always looks crystal clear. I've measured out my dechlorinator and am adding that while I add the water. You can always put it into the watering can with the water if you're not using a hose. I'll speed this up so you don't have to sit through 4 minutes of filling up the tank. The last job is to wipe up any last splashes, missed bits on the floor, and spots on the glass that I didn't see first time around. And there we have it, a gleaming, sparkling tank in about 30 minutes. I do one of these big cleans every 6 to 8 weeks with minor tidy-ups as and when in between. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave a comment if you've got any tips and tricks, and as always, please hit follow to keep up with any new content.